So let's step up to module 4, last module of the day. And in this module 4, we're going to focus on chapter 9. Chapter 9. Well, there are 81 chapters left. So we're only at chapter 9. Because there's so much to talk, even though it's such a short phrases. Okay, chapter 9. My Chinese is not that good, so I'll read out in English. So English loosely translated, the first line is called holding on to too much is not as good as stopping. Okay, so what does that really mean? What does that really mean? Holding on to too much is not as good as stopping. Think about a glass filled to the brim. What happens when you pour some more? The excess water spills out, and that water that spills out wasted. So what if we didn't fill it completely? By leaving some space, it stays functional. Remember, I talked about maintaining the functionality of Dao Chong. So basically, to maintain the functionality of Dao Chong basically means to leave some space in everything you do. So if you are leading a department or if you are leading a team, don't overload the people. Leave some space. Okay. So by leaving some space, it stays functional and ready for more. Now, isn't that a smarter way to manage things? Not many managers will agree with this. Not many VPs will agree with this, especially CEO. They always want to overload people, overload the staff. One person, the best is one person manage three roles. So that is totally not aligned with Tao. Okay, Tao always say maintain some space. So the key idea here is to create space. So now let's have you ever felt overwhelmed by trying to do everything? Maybe you say yes to many projects at work or tried to manage every detail in your personal life. Then what happened? Things started to spill over. You start to feel stress, you start to feel exhaustion, and then slowly but surely mistakes start to creep in. Some mistakes can be costly, right? And deadly. Some mistakes can be deadly too. So beware. It's always good to leave some space. Now, here's a tip. Aim for 70 to 80%. Okay, so leave space for flexibility and growth. That means leave about 20-30% space for whatever it is that you're talking about. Okay, so for example, when Steve Jobs returned to Apple, Steve Jobs was fired from the company that he founded at the age of 30, and many years later he returned to Apple. Now this time round, he didn't overload the companies with endless products. He didn't. In fact, he removed a lot of, according to him, is useless products. So instead, he simplified and left room for creativity to flow. And guess what? That is also the time that he came out with one product that was still popular till today. And what's the product? It's called iPhone. Simple. Back then was only one or two color only, right? If I'm not wrong. I'm not using iPhone, but based on what I know, the choice are pretty limited. I mean, as in the model and the color also. So when you leave space, you stay content. That's one benefit of leaving some space. You will stay content. Why? Because you are not scrambling to fill what is missing. I know of some people, especially some clients, who can't stay with the fact that they have their calendar 1 or 2 days empty. And they can't. I don't know why they can't. They are those high achiever, high flyers, CEO, VPs, or EVPs, They say that, oh, today my calendar is empty. They feel very insecure. I also don't know why. For me, I purposely make certain days empty so that I maintain the functionality of Dao Chong. If I want to go out with my family, I can go with my family. If someone call me up, for a cup of coffee, I can do that. Maintain that functionality of Dao Chong. So basically, you are not making noise to prove yourself. People can see your calm confidence, and that authenticity earns respect. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, I think a lot of people will feel overwhelmed. Ask yourself, what can I let go of to make rooms for something new? And this is very aligned with this year's hexagram of revolution, 革卦. It's always throwing away things that no longer serving, and that throwing away actually makes space for something new. We're going to see a new era coming up soon. Soon. Once the dust settle down, we'll see a new era. Okay. So remember, it's not about having more. It's about making space for the things that truly matter. So the next sentence is, if you try to sharpen something too much, it won't last long. So this phrase, 踹而锐之不可长保, basically means if you try to sharpen something too much, it won't last long. It's like taking a tool and trying to make it as pointed as possible. Now here's the catch. Being too sharp or too flashy doesn't last. If you sharpen your pencil until so sharp, right? Then next thing you know is what? You're going to crack it. Okay. So if you push your children too hard to go for this tuition, that arrangement class, every hour is fully occupied. You are, you're trying to sharpen him or her too much, it won't last. I've seen cases, real life cases, that those children who have been subjected to that sharpening too much are having mental issues at very young age. Secondary school already have mental issues already. This is real. Because they are not aligned with Tao Te Ching. The parents are not aligned with Tao Te Ching. Okay, so let me repeat. If you try to sharpen something too much, it won't last long. Even the sharpest knives become dull after a while. Well, you have to keep sharpening it to maintain its edge. That's fine. Okay, but constantly striving to be the sharpest can lead to exhaustion. Like for example, if we're going to hold on to the lockdown, when during the pandemic time, we went to lockdown, right? Okay, nobody can leave the house. No business can run smoothly like normal. Everybody is put on high alert, high tension. We can't keep up to that. After 2 years, fatigue will seep in already, and then things will start to fall apart. So therefore, constantly striving to be the sharpest will lead to exhaustion. So instead, aim for a balanced approach. Carl said the knife will break with too much sharpening. Oh, will it? Okay, I've not tried it, but I'm sure it will, because you get thinner and thinner until it becomes brittle. Okay, Darren says, sound interesting thoughts come in my mind in consultation. Professional and businessmen worried 有道无, ask them read Tao Te Ching. All right, reverse their thinking, break their belief system. Okay, while others group of people like finding love, making more money, more education, are asking concern about 无道有, ask them read Tao Te Ching. True. So in any category of people, right, read Tao Te Ching or I Ching. It's true. That's why I Ching and Tao Te Ching up to today, after so many thousands of years, is still very much relevant in our daily life. What it says in the in I Ching and Tao Te Ching is still very relevant, and you keep seeing people doing the same thing again and again and again. So those are the people or world leaders who have not read Tao Te Ching and I Ching. Okay, look at celebrity culture. If he's saying we are all teach to have, not let go. Yes. So we have been conditioned, we have been taught as we grow up to always gather, accumulate, amass, always go for the yang energy. Not wrong, but we have to maintain a balance of yin and yang. Up to a certain point, you must know when to step back. Like I said just now, just keep 70 to 80% full. Keep about 20-30% emptiness, and that emptiness will give you the functionality of Dao Chong. So my calendar is always not full, right? My calendar is always not full, but it's always meaningfully occupied. Pepe say, I've never sharpened my main kitchen knife in 20 years and I'm still using it, living with the weakness that it cannot slide fish skin. Still happy with knife, imperfectly perfect. Oh, well said, Pepe. Well said. Okay, as long as they're happy with certain things, you're already contented already, and that's in alignment already. Okay, so that's good. All right, so look at the celebrity culture. Very unfortunate. Many celebrities, many stars burst onto the scene, shining very brightly, but over time, if they can't maintain that level of intensity, they risk burning out or fading away. And worse is to find the shortcut to life, which is very unfortunate. Okay, Darren said, "Love your saying, meaningfully occupied." Yes, I'm always saying that, because it is that, meaningfully occupied. Yeah. Pepe, now no slides. How about the rest? Have. Kelvin say have, Okay. Jia Chuan say can see. Okay, good. Okay, next. Let's move on. So, a bit unstable, Darren, you're saying. Okay, give me two more feedback. Can see, cannot see. Give me two more. I just want to know the sensing. And say can. Okay, one more. One more feedback. And this say can. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much for feedback. Then I'll proceed. Oh. Okay, so now here. Why do we feel the need to dull sharp edges? Okay, why do we feel the need to dull sharp edges? Not only parents, okay, I know especially parents with young children, they like to dull all the sharp edges with their furnitures, if say to prevent hurt. Thank you very much. To prevent hurt, right? This is the good answer, to prevent hurt. So it's about safety. It's about self-protection, self-preservation. Sharpness, whether in tools or in personalities, often poses a risk, and people instinctively will try to blunt it. I repeat, it's about safety, right? That's how I talk about safety and then self protection. So sharpness, whether in tools or in personalities, often poses a risk, and that people instinctively will try to blunt it. Can you get the hidden message? So this is exactly what I mentioned in the AOM1 about 潜龙勿用 and line 3 of the 乾卦. So take a young professional who constantly show off their knowledge. They will say probably like, oh, I've studied this. Oh, I'm the best in this. Or I know more than you. That's what we call showing too much sharpness. And here's what happens. People around them will start to find ways to sand them down. The sandpaper, they will start to sand them down. 挫锐气，挫他们的锐气. Okay, to take a notch down, because the sharpness rub people the wrong way. I repeat, sharpness rub people the wrong way. Look at USA, so sharp. Okay, so Carl say, once the sword comes out, need to see blood. That's what USA is trying to do. Pull out the sword already, now it's seeing blood everywhere. Even own people also can see the blood. So if say outstanding people always invite isolation and jealousy from colleagues. Now, outstanding people is outstanding people, but outstanding people who always stay that sharp, the sharpness, 锋芒, okay, 锋芒, in Chinese called 锋芒, will always invite isolation and jealousy from colleagues. Right? Now, LKY is outstanding person, what? Of course, he invited a fair share of isolation and jealousy from other opposition party, but is well loved by the citizens, right? So it's not only outstanding people, but it's outstanding people that and those that show too much sharpness, and those are the group that need to 反省一下 or to wake up a bit. Where was I? So remember this. Sharpness rub people the wrong way. Why? They offer criticism, they challenge their ideas, or even actively try to humble them. So it's human nature to push back against someone who appears too full of themselves. It's human nature. So if one day, right, you feel that you have been sandpaper down, that is a clue. That's a telltale sign. That's a clue to you say that you are too sharp already. Then how? There's an old saying goes, pride comes before fall, before the fall. Okay. So when you're too full of yourself, whether it is about knowledge, achievement, or even pride, it attracts trouble. The same goes for sharpness. Too much and people will dull you. That means sandpaper you down. Okay. So being subtle, being humble are not signs of weaknesses. They are strategies for growth and harmony. So keep your strength in reserve like a hidden dragon. It's called 潜龙勿用. Just now I've shown you the slide called 潜龙勿用. This is what we discussed in the AOM class. So don't let your sharpness make you a target. This is very unfortunate if your sharpness make you a target. Because before you can open up your wing and fly, you've been shot down already. Because you're too sharp. And people see you as a threat. And you rub them the wrong way. So stay grounded, stay humble, and let your actions, not your sharpness, speak for you. Next line. When you have a lot of wealth and treasures, you can't keep it forever. When people go all out to accumulate things, that's like what Eve mentioned, right? We've been taught and conditioned to go and gather, to go and accumulate, to go and amass wealth, money, things, treasures, whatever. So usually it is wealth lah. They are fighting together. Okay, so since that wealth is a thing that most people are fighting together, then let's talk about wealth. And Lao Tzu also talk about wealth here. When you have a lot of wealth and treasures, you can't keep it forever. Oh, okay. Thanks, Lynn. I've muted the background noise. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Because I'm not wearing my earpiece, so I can't hear the background noise. So thanks for the feedback. And where was I? Okay, let's talk about wealth. Lao Tzu say, 金玉满堂. Have you heard about this 成语金玉满堂? Okay, so this 成语金玉满堂 also comes from 道德经 or 莫正能守. That means if you have a lot of wealth and treasures, you can't keep it forever. Sounds a bit demoralizing. Now, does that mean that Lao Tzu is anti-wealth, anti-wealthy? What do you think? Actually, no. Lao Tzu didn't oppose against prosperity. Kongzi also is not anti-wealthy. Just to be sure about things. Lao Tzu and Kongzi, both of them are not anti-wealthy. It's not saying that money is evil. It's not saying that we should not accumulate wealth. It's not saying that. But, they understood. Okay, they understood that wealth itself isn't a problem. The universe, the Tao, doesn't mind if you have a lot of money or not. Now, here's the catch. Take the story of Warren Buffett. He's one of the richest men in the world. Yet, he lives a relatively modest lifestyle. That's like LKY. Okay, he enjoys his wealth. Warren Buffett, he enjoys his wealth, but he also emphasizes the importance of being grounded and wise about it. He understands that wealth must be managed wisely. That's like knowledge. Okay, that's like knowledge. Huh? Wealth must be managed wisely. It's not about hoarding the gold and the jewels. It's about how you use that wealth to create value and impact in the world. So the lesson here is clear. It's not wrong to be wealthy. It is essential to have the wisdom to manage that wealth. If say my understanding is safe enough for self, if I have access, no harm to share with others here and there via mindfulness, donation, but not anyhow to spend. True. Yes, you are correct. Okay, so if you want to save up for rainy days, go ahead and save up for rainy days. You are not wrong to do that. You have free will to do that. If you have access, if whatever you want to do, you want to go for investment or whatever, do it. No harm doing that also. But the problem is when people start to feel greedy, and that's where all the issues comes out. The desire, the fame, the gain, the four causes of chaos, right? Okay, so in this journey of life, remember being rich doesn't guarantee happiness or security. I think this one, all of us know lah. Being rich or wealthy doesn't guarantee you anything about happiness or security. It's how you approach your wealth that counts. So when you keep your priorities straight, you can enjoy your riches without letting them control you. Now, if having wealth isn't a problem, then why do Lao Tzu says that it's hard to maintain? Is he saying you can't keep it forever? You know, the answer is simple. When you have abundance, if you try too hard to protect it, you might actually end up losing it. You know, you heard about that double coven murder, many years back, many years back. All right. That the one that the victim was pretty wealthy in some sense, okay, own car workshops, and stay in landed. He was murdered together with his elder son. Why? Because he's holding on to the wealth. Okay, so this is a different side of things. Then I say one more thing, which I feel recently, not all people willingly celebrate your victories because they may see sharpness to them. Yeah, true. True. This is called envy or jealousy. Yeah. So 潜龙勿用 is also caution you 人心难测. So must even use more cautionly. The old saying, 匹夫无罪,怀璧其罪. Very good. Okay. So Kao say our own abundance also need to flow like water. Yes. Yes. Must behave like Tao. Tao is abundance. And why Tao is abundance? Because it's able to flow endlessly, freely, everywhere. Tao Chong. So if we behave like Tao, we are actually having our own abundance already. So good point, Cows. This is a very good point. Where was I? Okay, when you have wealth and you try too hard to protect it, you might actually end up losing it. So let's not talk about the double coven murder. So holding on to your wealth too tightly can lead to trouble. So wealth itself isn't evil. It is how you handle it that matters. When you become overly focused on guarding your riches, you may create unnecessary stress and vulnerability. Pepe say to add on to Darren's only share victory when they can enjoy the fruit of victory, human psychology. Yeah, in a way, because it's comparing again. It's comparing why you have, I don't have. Not fair. Okay. And that's where jealousy and envy comes in. If say my experience is people do not mind you successful but cannot be better than them. This is human. True also. It's again comparison. So again, boils back to what we have discussed in workshop 1, workshop 2, and in this workshop 3. Comparison, comparison, comparison. As though that this world is not in abundance. It is either you have or I have. I cannot have both have. That kind of mentality. This is lack mentality. Yeah. Then they don't have abundance. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we talk about this this idea connects beautifully to the teaching of the I Ching, particularly hexagram 9, small accumulation, to hexagram 10, which is called trading. Okay. So hexagram 9, 小序, small accumulation is talking about the process of gradually accumulating wealth, accumulating resources, which is fine. Lao Tzu, Kong Tzu say it is fine. You want to accumulate, go ahead, accumulate, right? But it is a beautiful reminder that success doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, effort. That's why we need to accumulate small steps each time. And here is the catch. If we grip too tightly on what we have, thinking we can hold on to it forever, we may end up with more 智能手. That means the inability to protect what we have gained. So you have to be chill. We end up, otherwise you may end up in hexagram 10 called trading. 天泽铝 trading, walking on thin ice. What is walking on thin ice? Basically means always on high alert, walking on tight ropes, and become so focused on protecting their fortune that they started to act out of fear and suspicion, building walls instead of bridges. This is what happened, to that double Coven murder, because they thought the elder victim thought that something happened to their money in the safe and things like that. That's why he reported police. And for all you know, the offender is the policeman. Okay, so yeah. So basically this is hexagram 9 to hexagram 10. Example, look at this case of OK Lim, the former oil tycoon. You all heard about him, Hin Leong? Very big, very well-known oil tycoon, OK Lim. He once had a massive fortune, but when he focused too much on protecting his wealth without proper management, he ended up declaring bankruptcy. So his story is a powerful reminder that trying to hold on to wealth too tightly can lead to its loss. Also, when you hoard wealth, you make yourself a target, right? People may try to steal from you, or even if they don't succeed, there are always disasters, both natural and man-made, that can threaten your assets. So this constant fear of losing what you have can consume your life. So instead of clinging desperately to your riches, we should adopt a mindset of sharing and using our wealth for good. By doing this, we not only enrich our life, but also positively impact the life of others. That's like what Hong Kong's Li Ka-shing did. He's frequently donating money, for example, in this case here, this article says he donates 120 million to Stanford University to nurture entrepreneurs, pioneer disease therapies. Okay, so this is how you approach your money, your wealth, and put it to good use. Okay, so this is creating value, fostering relationship, and you'll find that wealth can flow more freely into your life. This is also creating space, knowing when to step back. In this case, knowing when to step back is by donating money, is actually making space, right? So Darren say his story tells, don't think you're always on top, or else line 6 qian gua sure going to come after you. That's right. That's like the cup of glass where you fill it to the brim, there will be spillover. So I think Li Ka-shing is pretty wise, because if you have heard his interviews, he always mention phrases from Tao Te Ching and phrases from I Ching. He always say that 坤卦厚德载物. He always say that. Okay, so you can read up his interviews. He always give give out phrases linking back to I Ching and Tao Te Ching. Okay, now let's explore the next phrase. Say 富贵而骄自遗其咎, which means being rich and proud leads to trouble. True, right? Most of the case are not always, but most of the time it's like that. Suddenly being rich and proud leads to trouble. So I call this the dangers of pride in wealth. We have established that wealth itself isn't a bad thing, right? Just now we talked about that. In the earlier sentence, wealth itself is not a bad thing. In fact, having resources can help you open up many doors. True, right? But when pride comes into play, that's when things can go wrong. When attachment comes into play, that's when things can go wrong. So pride and attachment is the enemy of progress. When people become arrogant because pride, because of their wealth, they often lose touch with reality and the people around them. So when people become attached means attached to the wealth that they have, they often lose touch also with reality, and they felt threatened. They raise suspicion against people around them. So this kind of issues can lead to bad decisions, poor relations, and ultimately downfall. Example, can you recall the infamous nut rage incident involving Korean Air? The daughter of the airline, Korean airline, daughters of the airline's chairman, I think her name is called Cho. Is it Cho Yang Ho? Became very angry when a flight attendant did not serve her macadamia nuts in the correct manner. So instead of handling it calmly, she demanded that the plane return to the gate so that she could kick out the flight attendants. Now, this is her pride. Her pride and her sense of entitlement caused a scandal that led to her subsequently stepping down from her positions and damaged the airline's reputation. So this incident illustrates how pride can cloud judgment and lead to disastrous outcome. So this lady had wealth and power, but her arrogance blinded her to the consequences of her action. So in a moment of pride, she made a decision that not only affected her, but also harmed countless others. Now, having said that, how do we avoid this kind of trap? It all starts with humility. And I think I've mentioned humility many, many times. Now, if say think her mental is not stable at that moment, quite rare to see management acts like that. No, entitlement, her sense of entitlement. She thinks that she can do like king like that, can do anything. Okay, it starts with humility. Look at Donald Trump. He thinks he's king. He can issue emergency decree. Okay, that means executive order but I call that decree 圣旨 with regards to tariff. And tariffs are economic policies and tools. The power to decide on the tariff actually lies with the Congress, not on the president. Right? But he has taken that power away from Congress. I don't know what's Congress doing also, but never mind. Let's observe. Okay, so how to avoid this trap is to start with humility. If that lady has been humble enough and asked, "Can you serve me properly?" I think things wouldn't have turned out to be this way. So, in short, wealth should empower. It should not isolate you. Success isn't about stacking riches, it's about how we use them. Staying grounded keeps the flow of abundance open, right? So flaunting what you have or having the wisdom to what do you call that? Flaunting what you have will only make things worse. So the Tao reminds us when we move with humility, we keep our wealth, our respect, and our peace. Look at Li Jiaxing, Li Jia, what do you call it? That's now that I showed you that Hong Kong tycoon, property tycoon. Okay, so what do you think? Does wealth reveal true character or does it change people? What do you think? Reveal the true character or does it change people? Okay, last line. Ever notice, the last line is talking about it's natural to step back when you have achieved your goal. 功随身退，天之道也哉. Okay, so basically, if I have to ask you, ever notice how the greatest leader know exactly when to step back? Not many people know that. Only the greatest leader. So we should look up at the greatest leader and see how they know exactly when to step back. Lao to give us this powerful truth in the final line. It's natural to step back when you've achieved your goals. Step back. Why? A lot of people will ask, why? I'm having success now. Why should I step back? Isn't success about pushing forward, seizing more, staying on top, accumulating wealth, amassing status, things like that? And here's a twist. Lao Tzu, yes, loves success. He's not against ambition. He's just against clinging to it. That's like what the I Ching says about line 6 of any hexagram. You know, it's time to step back, you step back. Otherwise, you will be 亢龙有悔. If say after Qian Gua will drop to Kun Gua, you become a fallen dragon. Yep. So he's just against, Lao Tzu is just against clinging on to your success for too long, over clinging. Okay, so basically he's just telling you, yeah, work hard, you go work hard, do it well. All right, just like water, do it well. Okay, but don't be obsessed with holding on. Why? Because grasping too tightly invites downfall. That's like a full cup, of water will spills. That's like the sun at its peak, known peak, it must set. So here's the paradox. True success isn't about hoarding power. It's about finishing the job well and then step back. And hear me, stepping back is not about disappearing into the mountains like a hermit. So neither Lao Tzu or Kongzi admire hermits. Doing nothing is as good as not existing, according to them. Okay, so look at LKY. He built modern Singapore, then handed over leadership when the time was right. Later, Lee Hsien Loong did the same. Not because they weren't capable, but because they knew that holding on too long does more harm than good. So Lao Tzu wisdom is not passive; it's deeply action-driven. Life is not is about wrong. Life is about doing, okay, about contributing. But when we work just for status, credit, or gratitude, that's when we lose. I'm not sure anybody knows this guy here. His name is Robert Mugabe, the former president of Zimbabwe. So this guy led the Zimbabwe for nearly 4 decades, from 1980 to 2017. So initially, he was praised for his leadership. Initially, but later he refused to step down, even as the country faced economic collapse, hyperinflation, and political unrest. So instead of gracefully passing the torch, he tightened his grip, silencing oppositions, manipulating elections, and holding on to power at all costs. And what's the result? Remember that's time we mentioned, if it's too sharp, people, you rub people the wrong way. Okay, and be prepared to face the severe consequences. So what's the result? A military intervention, okay, forced him out in 2017. Thank you, Eve. Blind by fame and desire is again back to the four causes of chaos. So his legacy, once promising, once upon a time was very promising, but was later overshadowed by years of economic ruin and political turmoil. So Lao Tzu's wisdom warns against exactly this. When you overstay your time in power, refusing to let go, downfall is inevitable. You contrast this guy with leaders like LKY and Lee Hsien Loong, who, who knew when to step back, ensuring stability and continuity. So the lesson here is clear. True success isn't about holding on, it's about knowing when to let go. Clear? And with this, we will end this module here and the workshop here today. Okay, so if you want to know more, Darren said, history never lies. Most of China emperor is already a great lesson to learn. Yes, and the Chinese now, they learn. Okay, they learn from their history because they have thousands of years of history that they can learn from. Unlike the Western country, which is only, I don't know, look at USA. How many hundred years of years? Not even 1,000. Only, I don't know how many hundred of years only. Okay, so not many history to learn from for the Western countries. Okay, now we have explored how heaven and earth works tirelessly without claiming credit, and how true wisdom lies in knowing when to step back, not clinging to power. But Lao Tzu isn't just giving us a philosophy lesson, he's leading us to somewhere deeper. Now, what's next? He's going to shift gears. After this chapter, he's going to shift gears. So instead of talking about the universe, that means the 天道, subsequently, he's bringing focus back to us, human. Okay, back to you, me, and others. In areas like how do we cultivate ourselves? I mean, in alignment, because 人不为己，天诛地灭嘛. So how to align ourselves with Tao? Right? So how to cultivate ourselves, and what does Tao self-cultivation really means? How can we align our body, mind, and spirit with the Tao? Basically, it's about alignment and going with the flow. So that's exactly what we'll uncover in the next workshop 4, right? And Lao Tzu is about to show us the practical tools to refine our inner world. So join me in workshop 4 if you're keen, where we'll dive into chapter 10 and more to unlock the secret of self-mastery. So when is it? Right, it is on the 16th August this year, 16 August, Saturday, 2 to 5 p.m. live online. So this is your chance to learn the powerful practices of Tao self-cultivation straight from the source, Tao Te Ching. Okay, so like I say, many times, don't study the Tao, live the Tao. Okay, live the way. So if you're ready, okay, so what I need to do, because it's not on my website yet, so if you want to sign up now, in case you miss it, then you pay now $49 to my mobile phone. I will register for you. Right? Okay, so with that, wow, what a journey we have taken today. Okay, Lynn, no worries. You can leave first. Yeah, you can send me the text. Okay. So what a journey we have taken today, from understanding the everlasting nature of heaven and earth to the powerful flow of being like water, and finally the wisdom of knowing when to step back. So knowledge alone isn't enough. Remember this, knowledge alone isn't enough. You need to extract the wisdom out from that. So with that, before we call it a day, okay, so before we call it a day, can you type in the chat one-liner, what have you learned in this workshop that you can start using in your life? Then, yeah, I think I've talked about this. Huang Tin Jing is a new program, right? In this October, it's about understanding healthy living, right? And then in June, May, we have no classes. So in June, this Eating Form Feng Shui external, followed by, and then the new program in May next year, 2 days course is a date selection. So as we wrap up today's workshop, I want to express my gratitude for your participation and your engagement. So your presence today truly adds value to our learning community. Last but not least, before you go, here are a few important reminders. Number 1, feedback. Please take a moment to fill in the feedback form. Okay, then number 2, once you've completed the feedback form, you'll be redirected to the flash sales corner where you can do all the signs up. But if you want to sign up for workshop 4, you won't find it there. You can do pay now. I will register for you. Okay. Number 3, the recording will be sent for processing and be uploaded to the Heartbeat training portal. So if I run this program again, I will invite you back for refresher. Please come back. Okay. So as you live today, remember the power of the teachings we have discussed. They are not just concepts, they are tools for transformation. So have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you in workshop 4. Right? Okay. See you. Bye-bye.